This episode is about jealousy in the fight game. Welcome to the DO Boxing Show. I'm your host, Dameon Okposio. Thanks for tuning into another episode. In this episode, I wanted to touch on jealousy in the fight game. And I'm going to start it off with talking about something that has been seen out there, and it's been, heavily covered with the Mayweather-McGregor event, and De La Hoya, publicly going on and saying that, it was a fraud to the public, or telling people not to buy into the pay-per-view. As a promoter, it in my opinion, it crosses a line, and it shows kind of the depth of jealousy in the sport of boxing. That's intense, and it follows and plays itself out also here in Canada as well, which it leads to, I think, a great deal of why the sport stalls in certain areas in terms of getting off its feet, because it creates a lot of divide between different people. When it came to De La Hoya, the fact is out there, he's on video saying that when the fight was a rumor, back when the fight was a rumor, that he would have had taken the fight for McGregor to fight Canelo Alvarez. That obviously wasn't happening because, both the UFC and Mayweather were looking to make the fight happen with McGregor, and that's what happened. And then, Oscar De La Hoya on numerous occasions, in print and on video stated that people shouldn't buy the show. And then to top it all off, and this is where it kind of moved me to make the video, he was interviewed by The Herd and some different other news media about the fight after the fight had taken place. So now this is after the fight has taken place, and they interview Oscar De La Hoya, and he goes on about how Mayweather-McGregor was a fraud, and Max Kellerman challenges the statement and says, well, who did it actually hurt? The people that wanted to see it bought it. Everybody knew that it was going to be an event, and nobody really expected it to be competitive except for the hardcore UFC fans. But people paid for what they got for. They understood what the prices were. Nobody was taken by surprise in terms of what the event was. And the other point that Max Kellerman made was that the focus should be on Triple G Canelo, because it's a fantastic product that's going to be coming up, and what is there to talk about? Your arena's sold out. You're going to be making money. Why are you even remotely concerned with someone else? So, these are the kind of things that happen in the sport of boxing, and in Canada as well. We experience it promoter to promoter. The promoters and fighters, it's crazy. If you can go to any boxing gym and hear about people discrediting other fighters, or talking about them disparagingly, knocking the accomplishments of fighters that aren't from that gym, and it doesn't help the sport. If you are saying that someone that you fought is a bum, then what does that make you? Like the champion of bums? People have to acknowledge, number one, the courage of all boxers that step through the ropes, amateur or professional. You have to acknowledge and appreciate, well, you don't have to, but you should appreciate and acknowledge the courage, first of all, that it takes to climb through the ropes. And you should acknowledge, if you fought someone, you should acknowledge them as, someone that's presenting a viable threat to you that you defeated. And, in terms of in celebrating your opponent, you're going to be making your accomplishment shine that much more. You know, jealousy and the back and forth fighting it's not going to prevent anybody from being successful. If you want to be successful, as long as you don't take into account what people say or live your life by what other people think, then you can be successful. The only thing it does, though, is it hurts the sport and it stalls the sport out. And that's one of those things, it's the elephant in the room that needs to be acknowledged. People just need to start focusing on their own things instead of trying to chop down other things. It's been said, and most recently by Gary Vaynerchuk, you want to build the tallest building, by building the tallest building instead of trying to tear down the tall buildings so that your building looks the tallest. If everybody focused on their own game, or and even just gave a little bit of acknowledgement to the other entities that are out there, and people worked alongside each other in the best capacity. Not everybody has to be best friends. You'd have a better sport, number one. You'd have a bigger pie, number two. Instead of people fighting over crumbs, everybody could just bake a bigger pie. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. Remember, you can ask us any questions related to boxing by sending us a message through Twitter at DOKPOSIO. Email okposio@hotmail.com, and don't forget to subscribe through YouTube to get every episode of the DO Boxing Show. Thanks for listening to this episode, and we'll catch you on the next one.